Ooh, what's going on? Vic from the Stump Shop back with another video. And today we're going to talk all about selecting wood. We're going to discuss hardwood versus softwood. Which wood should I pick for this project or for that? I know when I first started woodworking over 10 years ago, I didn't really understand that there's certain woods you actually can't use for certain projects. That all came with years of building stuff. So today I'm going to talk all about that. And of course, we can discuss like the scientific stuff behind wood and the differences between hardwood and softwood, but we're not going to do that here. We're going to do that here in the office. So let's dive in. Now, the best part about wood is that it's a sustainable commodity. If we in fact take care of it as humans, we could have wood in theory forever. Just keep replanting it and take care of our planet. Speaking of our planet, it's because of our planet, there's so many types of wood, the different climates, different soil. There's trees all over the world, and each species of trees has different quality in their timber. Therefore, some are, like I said earlier, really good for using to build, and some just aren't. But how do you pick that? There's qualities in the wood that you have to be aware of. And in this video, we're only going to touch on a few of the main ones, and that'll help you decide on what wood to use for your project. All right, so the first quality we're going to discuss is density. Basically, that's the weight of the wood when it's dried to a certain moisture level. So if that makes no sense, I don't blame you. It's basically density is linked to the wood hardness, its strength, and how easy it is to work with that wood. And keep in mind, all trees around the world are marked on a scale of most dense wood to least dense wood. And that's actually the same for the durability and the stability, which are other qualities we'll touch on. Speaking of durability, that's the next quality we're going to discuss. Basically, durability speaks to the wood's ability to resist rot and also how susceptible it is to insect attacks. Some wood is very powerful and resistant against insects, therefore making it better for example, outdoor builds. That's why durability is super important to look at, especially if it's going to be an outdoor build or if it's going to be used somewhere where it's exposed to moisture more. So you want to make sure that it's rot resistant. So far we've talked about the density and the durability of wood. All right, let's talk about stability. Now that is basically the wood's tendency to resist seasonal changes. So for example, even wood that's been properly dried, for example, kiln dried wood or naturally air dried wood, it could still over the years warp or take on the temperature and humidity that it's being stored in or being used in. For example, if you build a bench and put it in a sauna and it's not wood that's good for that moisture, it's going to warp. It's going to be pretty sketchy after a few years. So keep in mind that the wood has to be rated good in stability for whatever you're building. All right, the final thing we'll talk about right now quickly is texture. That basically speaks about the size of the pores on the wood. Not my face. My face probably has big pores. But anyways, so now that you know the density, the durability, the stability, and the texture of wood, you're basically an expert. Go build something. Before we head out to the shop, I'm going to touch on one more thing. Hardwood versus softwood. In a nutshell, hardwood is more dense. It is harder. It comes from trees that change color in the fall. Basically, that's an easy way to remember it. Maple, oak, they take longer to grow, so therefore they're more expensive. But because it takes longer to grow, they end up becoming more dense and harder. Usually, that's not always the case with hardwood, but usually hardwood is used for things where you want longevity, like good furniture, or flooring is a perfect example where you want hardwood. But like I said earlier, it's a little bit more expensive to work with versus softwood. Think of it like trees that have pine needles or pine cones and needles on them. They're usually evergreen and the wood is more porous. Remember we talked about the texture, and they grow a lot quicker, so there's an abundance of it, especially in Canada where I come from, and therefore it's cheaper. However, softwood is still, very good for certain applications like building homes, frames, and it's used a lot in construction. But if you want, longevity and nice looking wood, go with hardwood, but depends on your budget. So there you go. You are now a wood wizard. Let's get back to the shop and wrap it up. Right, now that we have an understanding of the actual science in wood, you can see why it's important to pay super close attention to some wood properties. We discussed density amongst others. Now you understand. You're starting to be able to pick your wood better and understand which one should I choose. But what wood should I use for which project? Let's break that down right now, starting with these few things. Let's start with charcuterie boards or cutting boards, some of the projects that people first make when they start out. Now, it's important when you're going to be working with any type of wood that you're going to be serving food on eventually, that it's food safe. That means the pores are tight enough that food's not going to get in with the potential of, molding and all that. But anyways, beech wood, we'll talk about what I actually do have in the shop today. Beech is very good. It's actually almost equal to maple. I don't have any maple boards to show you, but beech, maple. This is walnut. Walnut is awesome also for food safe little builds. Now this is cherry right here. So I do have some cherry in, like I said, in lumber form, and also some maple and walnut. All right, now that I brought that wood down here, what I'm going to do is, maybe even before the end of this video, is make some nice cutting boards out of those. So just to reiterate once again, cherry, walnut, maple, 3 excellent wood for making boards or anything food safe. Now, ash, although it's a hardwood, is not recommended for food. It's actually not that safe because it's very open pored, and food can get in and bacteria and all that. And then what you see over here is what you see at Home Depot and all the big box stores. So why don't we talk a little bit about that wood and what you need to know. Okay, now how many times have you said to yourself, I need some wood, and you just run out to Home Depot or any of these other big box stores, and usually this is what they carry in bulk. You can get hardwood from big box stores, but usually very, very expensive. You don't want to go for a mill for that because in the big box stores, it's already all finished. 4 sides usually ready to go. So that makes it very pricey. So this is the type of wood you usually go to big box stores for. Now, check that out. I just cut that out from a 2x4 and planed it down a little to show you guys that, yes, you could actually build stuff out of this. This is normally known as SPF. Actually, there's a stamp right on this one that says SPF. So what that means is it's spruce, pine, or fir. They're very commonly grouped together. They're all softwood, and they're excellent for construction. Highly used in timber, framing, and stuff like that. So for that, it's good wood. You can build tables and stuff out of it. It's just not going to be as nice as if you were to build a nice table out of ash or something. Actually, let me show you my kitchen table. Come. So here's an example of a project made from ash. Now, ash is a very good hardwood to build with. It's actually not that expensive either. And obviously, look at that. After a nice little whitewash stain, looks beautiful. And this is now several years old. Hardwood is obviously a lot more expensive than SPF that we talked about, but for obvious reasons. I mean, look at that. This, on the other hand, I just thought of this now, was built out of SPF. So you can tell it's obviously going to be cracking a little bit or drying out, but it's actually not in bad shape. Depends how, critical you are of your work. Look, it's separating quite a bit, but there's some gapping and stuff. But other than that, that's years old also, just out of SPF. So you could do, you could do projects with both. Anyways, let's get back to the shop. I didn't have a chance to make the boards out of this wood here, like I said earlier, but I did make these a couple of years ago now, and this is walnut, maple, cherry, and this is end grain, but these are just examples of things or, products where you would definitely want to use hardwood. This is a butcher block or cutting board, like I said, years old, but still going strong, and then every once in a while, I just sand it down and re-oil it. But there you go. That's what they would have looked like. And then you can always cut this up into strips, re-glue it, and come up with all types of checkered designs. But that's an awesome use for hardwood. And since we're out here in the shop, this looks disgusting, but when you pull back out, the entire workbench itself is actually awesome and many, many years old. But that's all from lumber, SPF, 2x4s or 2x6s. And that's a perfect example of something you can make. And you don't have to use hardwood unless you want to. This one from Craig, this is hardwood. So you know what I mean? The variety and choices are endless. And then finally, to wrap up this video, I wanted to show you guys some actual practical examples. This little console table here, for example, is also softwood, just made out of construction lumber. It's funny because my wife sent me a picture of this exact console table from one of those very expensive stores. So I just took that design and kind of made it my own, obviously customized the size, but there you go. That was a fun project, but also made out of very inexpensive wood. And down here in our TV room in the basement is an example of something you can make out of hardwood. Down here, we wanted a statement piece based off the amount of time we spend down here and a nice big table for playing games with the family. So this here is white oak. Now, like we discussed earlier, white oak is a hardwood, so it was more expensive. I can't remember exactly how much, but I think around maybe $500 just for the wood to build this table. And you can tell it's got some marks and some grease marks. That's from the kids and chips and pizza and all that. But if you're looking for an everlasting piece, hardwood is the way to go. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're leaving this video with a little more wood knowledge than before. I'll be back again very soon, so if you're into these types of videos, hit the subscribe button, follow along, and I hope to see y'all soon. Ciao.